Hi everyone, I'm WABC Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg, and this is Wake Up Weather on ABC7 NY and For Weather or Not, sponsored by TD Bank. Well, for the next couple of days, as we make the handoff from September to October, cloud cover will dominate. So new month, but we're still searching for sun. We got some bonus sunshine on Monday, but I think clouds are going to dominate, even though we'll have a few breaks on Tuesday. Now, sunset is at 6:37. Moving through the middle of October, 6:14. We lose a lot of daylight this time of year, and by November 3rd, that's when we fall back. It's actually Saturday, November 2nd, when we turn the clocks back, and the sunset on November 3rd, which is Marathon Sunday, will be at 4:49. So enjoy these post 6 o'clock sunsets while you can. Clouds will definitely dominate over the next couple of days. There will be breaks, but overall mostly cloudy skies both Tuesday and Wednesday. In terms of showers, they're mainly over southernmost New Jersey through the day on Tuesday and Tuesday night. And by the way, we're not talking about a lot of rain. A lot of places will get through the next 48 hours rather dry. On Wednesday evening, with a front passing just to our north, there might be a stray shower. But again, I think there's more clouds and not much going on radar. The extended forecast, some October sunshine Thursday and Friday. It's a little bit iffy in terms of whether we'll see mostly sunny skies at any point on Thursday and Friday, because the front kind of stalls it's going through on Wednesday night. We might have some leftover clouds, but I think we'll at least have partly sunny skies both Thursday and Friday, and the extended forecast into the weekend isn't all that bad. Should remain mainly dry. So when we start out with the futurecast, there's still some drying that's coming in from the north and east. These sky forecasts have been so super challenging, really going back to the past week. We had, of course, Helene off to the south, and we knew we weren't going to get major impact from that. However, we certainly got some moisture that was able to come up farther to the north. Over the weekend, we got our wettest September day with over 3/4 of an inch of rainfall. And once again, we're right on that fringe where drier air from New England is fighting moisture from an area of low pressure off to our south and west, which, by the way, is some of the DNA of Helene. And as that curls out, we can go from everything from some showers over Stafford Township, New Jersey, to partly sunny skies over parts of the Hudson Valley, Connecticut, and eastern Long Island. So you can see there's a little bit more cloud cover on Tuesday than I think we saw on Monday. So we hit some highs in the low 70s on Monday. Maybe it's 2 or 3 degrees cooler on Tuesday. But I still think we can reach the lower 70s over the Hudson Valley. We have more bright spots, and you'll tend to have more cloud cover the farther south you go. The majority of the area, nothing more than a spot shower or a sprinkle. And I really think it's rinse and repeat on Wednesday. More clouds than sun. We start out in the mid-50s and lower 60s, and we'll be in the mid and upper 60s during the day. And the latest run of our futurecast, a little bit more promising for some breaks in the clouds on Wednesday. What's happening is we also have a front off to the west, very weak, and most of the support with it for any showers is moving through central New York, maybe even the Mohawk Valley, but not really through the tri-state. Maybe there's a shower that sneaks through in the evening hours, especially over the Hudson Valley and into Connecticut. You look at just a consensus of some of our guidance, there's little to no measurable precipitation. So I would not be shocked to see New York City not even get a stitch as we go through the next few days. And that's pretty much the same across much of the area. The one thing we'll have to watch is there are significant rainfall totals across, let's say, Maryland and into even southernmost New Jersey. So it wouldn't take much if that were to creep a little farther north that we have some measurable precipitation getting all the way up to I-78. But there on Wednesday, there's the cold front going to our north with a shower during the evening hours. And the cold front kind of just dissipates. If you notice, if you even see these wind barbs, we're not getting, a true good push out of the northwest and clearing the skies out. I think there'll be a mix of sun and clouds overall, but still a nice day. And we should be able to get into the mid-70s that day, especially away from the coast. And even Friday, there's a front over the eastern Great Lakes into Ontario, but overall high pressure nosing in from Atlantic Canada. I think we'll have at least partly sunny skies and a nice day on Friday. The front off to the west is going to slide through during the day on Saturday, so I expect more cloud cover. Again, not a lot of moisture with this, but a passing shower not out of the question, and a better chance of that north of the city. The real good push of high pressure will actually come on Sunday, which is probably the sunnier half of the weekend. We may lose a few degrees. It's not so much chillier in terms of the air mass, but we'll have a little bit of cooling coming in. At that point, we're going to have all eyes on the Gulf of Mexico. Is there going to be another tropical system hovering around the central Gulf of Mexico over the weekend? Let's address that. First of all, the tropics are pretty hyperactive. I mean, we have a post-tropical cyclone, Isaac. We have Joyce dissipating. We have Kirk, which actually could become a major hurricane and a big hurricane out in the Atlantic, and then there's another disturbance behind it. And then, of course, we're watching another area over the Caribbean and very concerned that, okay, all of a sudden there's development, just like we saw with Helene, going into the Gulf of Mexico. But I have some thoughts on that in just a moment. First of all, Kirk could very well be a major hurricane by the time we get to Thursday. Thankfully, it'll just be stirring up the central Atlantic and likely recurve and stay out to sea and just be a problem for shipping lanes. But this little area that's over the Caribbean right now is going to develop. It could become a tropical depression over the next few days, and then we could have a system in the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it doesn't look as formidable as it did a day or two ago, so we hope that trend continues. But certainly, the entire Gulf Coast is going to have to be on alert as we go through this upcoming weekend and early next week. You can see all those storms spinning out in the Atlantic. I mean, that's what ultimately will be, a very strong Kirk. And notice the depiction here on the 5th of October. So you're talking Saturday with a potential storm that doesn't look as strong, but it's sitting over the central Gulf of Mexico. And it looks like it might get strung out, or a piece of it maybe goes toward Florida. So we'll have to watch it very closely. It doesn't look like, Helene Part 2, but it certainly is a concern, something to watch. It doesn't look like, given the steering winds, that whatever is down in the southeast would be making a trip up the coast, but we'll watch that very closely for you. In terms of September, as we're about to close the books on September, about a half a degree below average. Remember, we got off to that kind of chilly start and then turned things around a little bit. We had such a bright, sunny stretch for so long, but it was a little below average. And then, of course, we finish off the month and we get a little bit more precipitation and cloud cover. So near to slightly below normal in terms of our temperatures. Looking at the steering winds here, so we've got that little trough on Wednesday. So a front comes through and gives us maybe a shower during the evening hours. And then notice the jet stream's lifting northward. We start to get a little warmer second half of the week here. So Thursday and Friday into the 70s and maybe into the start of the weekend. There is a little dip or trough in the jet stream, not terribly impressive, but a weak front is going to come through on Saturday. So a little bit more cloudiness and a passing shower. After a brief, day or two in the 70-degree range, we've got this is a pretty potent shortwave coming through, an area of low pressure in the upper atmosphere. It's going to go through the eastern Great Lakes. That would depict a pretty strong front coming through sometime Monday. So getting unsettled on Monday and a cool shot of air will follow that. So we'll likely go below normal for the second part of next week. But the good news is we get a lot of flow coming out of the northwest. So if there is any funny business going on across the southeast, it's likely sent packing and out to sea. Climate Prediction Center, beyond the 7-day, well, it kind of goes with what I was just talking about, near to below normal temperatures during that stretch. And you can see we got this nice warm up in the 10-day trend. We get into the 70s late week and into the weekend. And again, even though it's slightly cooler air mass coming in on Sunday, it's not too bad. We're around 70, and then we're back in the 60s as we go through next week. Dryness. Well, that's something we're definitely dealing with. Yes, thankfully we got some decent rains on Saturday, but the month itself still way below average, and we still are technically under some drought conditions over southern Ocean County. So that's where you're closest to some of the showers here midweek, but it's not appreciable rainfall. You look at September in Central Park with just over 1.5 inches of rainfall, so nearly 3 inches below average. For the year, we're still running a small surplus, and the reservoirs are slightly above average, but I go back a month or two ago, and our reservoirs were running 3-5% above average, so been slowly going down. Thankfully, we're not in a high consumption season anymore. So how about October? Let's talk October stats, which we start out with the average high around 70 to start the month. Very, very pleasant. By the end of the month, we're averaging upper 50s. So that's actually our typical lows to start the month. So it's a 59-46 split by the end of the month. Average rainfall, 4 1/3 inches. Last year was a dry October and above average. And average snowfall, about 1/10 of an inch. October 1st, the sun sets 6:37. We talked about that. By Halloween, you're talking 5:52. We've got the full Hunter's moon on the 17th, and the meteor shower in October is the Orionids, one of the best of the year, and that's likely to peak on the 21st and on the 22nd. Our fall foliage is running pretty close, maybe a little behind in terms of color, given some of our warmth that came back in part of September, but we're seeing some pretty good color here, near peak color in the Green and White Mountains of Vermont and into the Adirondacks, and then the Catskills, some patchy color into the Poconos, moderate to even some high color. Patchy to moderate color across Connecticut, Hudson Valley, interior New Jersey. You're seeing some of the treetops in Central Park and other parts of Long Island start to show some signs of changing. So obviously the next couple of weeks going to be really big for the foliage to come in. And given everything that we've seen, it looks like we could have some brilliant colors around the area. And there is an additional, whether or not, with the founder of the Foliage Report, calls himself the Leaf Daddy, but it's another whether or not to check that out to get some foliage tips if you're looking at the leaves and where to go. 60 degrees, 7 in the morning on your Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies. There might be a shower, especially south, 50s in many of our suburbs. During the day on Tuesday, a high of 69, mostly cloudy, spotty shower, maybe a touch of drizzle. Rain is more likely over southernmost New Jersey. I think most of us will just be dealing with more clouds than sunshine. 58 degrees tomorrow night, mostly cloudy. Once again, a spotty shower. Here's your 7 days. So Tuesday and Wednesday are pretty similar. First evening of Rosh Hashanah, there might be a stray shower, especially north of New York City. Clouds will be mixing with sunshine on Thursday, and we're warmer. We're in the mid-70s. Mid-70s on Friday, a partly sunny day. More clouds than sun on Saturday. Could be a shower to the north with a cool front. And then on Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds. Sunnier half of the weekend, but we lose a few degrees. We might be as high as 72 that day. And then more clouds come in on Monday. Looks like our shower threat is increasing on Monday. Your 7-day AccuWeather forecast. It is always available on ABC 7 NY 24/7. Thanks so much for listening to Weather or Not. We'll talk to you next time. Rain or shine.